Hi, beautiful souls. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Kelly, and in today's video, we're doing another pick a card reading. Today, we're asking Spirit all about the truth about this connection. All of my pick a card readings are timeless, so whenever you come upon this video, a message will be ready for you. Before we begin, please give me a big like down below and subscribe to my channel for more pick a card tarot readings just like this one. If you're new to pick a card readings, here's how it works. These are the 4 piles that you can choose from. This is pile 1 with the Opalite moon. This is pile 2 with the Labradorite heart. This is pile 3 with the red Aventurine star. And this is pile 4 with the Opalite. I'll give you some time to start meditating on the cards and choose the pile that you feel the most drawn to. Please use your intuition when choosing your pile, and if you feel drawn to more than one pile, feel free to watch multiple piles. There may be more than one message in this video for you today. After you're done deciding, scroll down to the description box or the pinned comment and click on the timestamp to skip to your reading. Tarot is an intuitive and insightful way to read the current energies surrounding a situation. If you ever hear something you do not like in a reading, please don't give up or get discouraged. Remember that you have 100% free will over your life, and you can change the course of direction at any time. My intention with these readings is to help gently guide you to a better path for your mind, heart, and soul. So never get discouraged about what you may hear, because it may end up being the activation you need to change course. With that being said, I'll give you some time to start meditating on the cards. You can close your eyes and hover your hands over the screen to see if you feel any sensations over a certain pile, or you can simply meditate on the cards and choose a pile based off of your gut feeling. Hi, pile 1. If you chose the Opalite moon, this is going to be your reading. Let's go ahead and get started with the tarot cards. All right, we're getting the Ace of Pentacles, the 3 of Wands, the Page of Pentacles, the 9 of Swords, and the Page of Cups. Also the Queen of Swords. All right, so before we actually dive into the tarot cards, I always like to talk about the crystal and why you might have been drawn to this crystal. With this Opalite moon, Opalite is actually a man-made stone. Opalite is a stone of clarity, communication, and emotional regulation. So it helps clear our anxieties, our mental fogs, and it helps you see the truth without any distortion. With this stone here, it really is going to help us with clear communication, emotional grounding, having a higher perspective, and soothing any of those mental spirals that you might be having about the truth of this connection. This crystal really suggests that the connection triggered some mental confusion within your soul, some overthinking, or even uncertainty, which is now requiring you to get clarity and emotional regulation. This often indicates a karmic or a lesson-orientated dynamic, because twin flame energy typically pushes you into clarity and purpose, not confusion and anxiety. But that is just the stone. Let's go ahead and get into the tarot cards. So we're starting here with the Ace of Pentacles, and the Ace of Pentacles talks about new opportunities, especially financial or career opportunities, manifestation, abundance, and even an initiation. This connection really began as a genuine opportunity between you two, either for shared growth or for some type of new start in your life. All the aces are about newness, a start, etc. With that being said, this shows me that at the beginning of this relationship, you both thought that there was potential for a long-term impact. You thought there was an opportunity to grow either personally or materially in this relationship. And also you thought that there was a seed moment here in your path. We come upon a lot of seed moments in our life, whether it's starting something new, meeting somebody new, or initiating a new venture in our life. So if we were to use just the Ace of Pentacles to answer the title of this question, then this tarot card is signaling that this connection was meant to begin something inside of you, which is common for a karmic or a catalyst relationship. They start very powerful because they're meant to activate your own growth. So I know that right off the bat, you don't want to hear that the relationship you're inquiring about is karmic, but I like to cut to the chase, so I answer the question right away. However, there is other messages in the tarot if you would like to stay. All right, so next we actually have the Three of Wands. So it is a possibility here. This is an expansion or a future vision. This is actually Sun in Aries energy. So the Sun actually loves being in Aries. This is talking about themes of hope and anticipation about the relationship, even future projections of what might be in this relationship. Another thing I could see with this particular card is the feeling of having growth beyond your comfort zone when this card comes up. So the Three of Wands is really suggesting that there is a connection here that opened up a door, but it didn't necessarily promise that you guys would be in union. So this connection potentially taught you and pushed you to think forward about your future, which actually is, again, pointing towards a karmic catalyst type of energy, not a permanent twin flame merging. So I know that we get scared when we talk about karmics or karma, but actually karma can be good too. Even if it is painful or even if it is something that is really going to shake you up, it doesn't mean that you walk away with nothing. Usually actually in karmic relationships, you learn so much that it changes your entire life trajectory. So we shouldn't write off any karmic relationships, because if you do, you might just run into another karmic. So it's really important to just learn the lessons that you're being guided to learn. So with this next card coming up, we have the Page of Pentacles. This is really talking about learning, curiosity, and skill building. The Page of Pentacles can also talk about manifestation. So we have two manifestation cards here, and this is telling me that you were really trying to manifest a love into your life, a relationship into your life. However, it seems like the universe kept sending you this type of a relationship because there was something more for you to learn. So this person or this relationship dynamic has really pushed you into self-improvement and self-discovery. I'm getting a download, so I'm going to explain what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing somebody that is very hurt about the relationship that they were in with somebody else. However, after this relationship ends, or even during the relationship, you realize, well, you can't rely on this person. And then you go into self-improvement or even discovering more things about yourself, which opens up a door. I'm seeing a flower blossoming, literally a flower starting to unfurl and blossom. So there's these things that you're learning through the endings, through the change and transformation. This is very dynamic energy here. Although there's a lot of hope and even a new beginning with the Ace of Pentacles and the Page of Pentacles, there is also this moment where you realize that it's not from the relationship, but what the relationship has taught you. With that being said, the Page of Pentacles really is giving us a theme of having these lessons learned, developing new habits or new skills outside of the relationship, and being in a student-like phase, because the page, there's two pages here and a queen, but with there being two pages, this is a lot of younger energy. This is, to me, the princess of the court. The knight is obviously the prince of the court, and then the queen and the king. So when you're talking about a princess energy, it is a very innocent energy, a still learning type of student energy. So I sense that you're learning something new in your life, whether that is directly tied to the relationship or outside of the relationship. So karmic connections frequently serve as a classroom where the focus is on what you want to learn from the interaction, not whether or not you end up together. So maybe you have been praying and trying to manifest a big life change and having more intuition, even having more of that sacred knowledge. And maybe this relationship is that catalyst to push you into being more intuitive, to push you into seeking more sacred knowledge. All right, so now we move on to the Nine of Swords, which you can see in the imagery there is somebody staying up at night in anxiety, overthinking, and fear. That is what the card represents. This relationship may have triggered that mental distress, insecurity, or even obsessive thinking. I sense that a lot of my pile number ones wanted this to work out, wanted to not get hurt again in love. However, there are lessons that you need to learn. So I don't sugarcoat on my channel, because me sugarcoating is not going to help you and is not going to help anybody. So I try to read the cards as they are and read it as a story. I'm sensing that you had a lot of hope in the beginning. You saw a future together. You might have started realizing maybe this is more a teacher type of relationship than something that's going to be lasting. That brings you to this anxiety, overthinking, and fear about it. So you may have experienced sleepless nights, worried thoughts, or even the fear of being replaced, rejected, or losing the person. This is a strong marker here of a karmic entanglement or even a trauma bond where anxiety and fear dominate your connection with this person. So if that is ringing true for you, wish you the best, and I hope that you can get through this. I know that you can. The twin flame energy, on the other hand, can be very intense, but it usually doesn't sustain long-term mental suffering without some type of purpose, deep transformation, or a resolution. So if you're constantly in that anxiety, confusion, mental distress, and nothing is changing, the person isn't changing, you're not changing, there's no real resolution, then that's not going to be a twin flame relationship. That's going to be more a karmic catalyst for you to change. And here's the positive thing out of this. If you do learn your lessons, if you do change, you will have a relationship that is going to meet you at your level, whether that is a twin flame, a soulmate, or somebody that is going to meet you where you are. Let's go ahead and move on from that energy. We have the Page of Cups next. So the Page of Cups is a more positive card here. It's earth and water energy. So she is talking about emotional curiosity, sensitivity, and a potential. So despite any stress that you've gone through in this relationship, there is a bit of that softness and innocence here, indicating that you had a genuine emotional activation in the encounter with this person. So you may have genuine feelings for this person, and the person may have genuine feelings for you too. However, it may have not been a relationship that was meant to stay in your life. It may be a turning point where you realize, yes, this person is a romantic interest of mine. We are both emotionally open to each other. And even maybe it created a creative or intuitive awakening in you. However, it shows that there might be more unfinished lessons here rather than something that is going to stay. With the Page of Cups, it shows me that the connection was emotionally significant for the both of you, but it was still immature or undeveloped in some way. It points towards that unfinished lesson energy. It's not pointing at a permanent romantic destiny, especially with the tarot story that we're seeing here. All right, now we move on to the Queen of Swords, the ending of this tarot story. The Queen of Swords is somebody that represents independence, unbiased judgment, clear boundaries, and direct communication. At this point, you're developing boundaries, you're developing clarity, and you're developing self-respect. Maybe that's what this relationship was meant to teach you. This is you coming into that mental clarity and emotional boundaries after being tested potentially through this relationship, through this classroom. Theme here with the Queen of Swords coming up is that this relationship might have taught you discernment. It might have taught you self-respect, emotional independence, and honest communication. Maybe before in the past you wouldn't communicate honestly because you wanted to keep the peace. Maybe this relationship is what is teaching you that honest communication and having self-respect enough for yourself to stand up for yourself when it is needed. This is reinforcing that the purpose of this connection was to help you potentially find your voice, truth, and strength, which is a hallmark marker of a karmic transformation and not a twin flame union. With that being said, that is the tarot story that I'm seeing here on the table. Let's go ahead and move on to your oracle cards. All right, so I'm actually getting two archetype cards. We'll read them both. We're getting networker. The light attribute here says enhances unity through the sharing of information, engenders social awareness and empathy. And the shadow attribute for the networker says conveys information only for personal gain, spreads fear and falsehood. All right, so we have that one. And we're also getting the hero/heroine. And the light attribute for this card says passion for a journey of personal empowerment. That's very karmic. And then the shadow attribute says escapism and a false sense of heroism. All right, so let's dive into this one by one and see whether honestly this is resonating for you or not. With these two cards, these could be your archetypes or the other person's archetypes. This is to help clarify if we're talking about the correct relationship here. The networker is all about communication, connections, and social webs. This could have been a very popular person, or you could have been a very popular person. You could have met through friendships, through some type of network, and that's how you first got connected. This archetype suggests that this connection was about learning relational skills, not about merging souls. Potentially, this person had that archetype, but maybe also taught you how to network more, or vice versa, you taught this person how to network and have better relational skills. Themes with the networker is anything about communication patterns, navigating different personalities, and finding common ground between different people. You're not going to resonate and connect with everyone, but somebody that has that networker archetype is going to be able to relate to a lot of different people, whether or not they find themselves to be resonating with this person, they still could connect with them. Maybe that's you, or maybe that's them. And this points to the connection being a lesson in communication and social dynamics, but not necessarily destined as a spiritual union. Now that we move on to the hero/heroine, this is showing me themes of personal evolution. That's pointing to a karmic catalyst here, and even overcoming obstacles. Somebody may have felt like they needed to be saved, but the truth is nobody is going to come to save you. This archetype indicates that you were meant to face your own challenges and build resilience on your own, maybe through the inspiration of this connection. However, this connection was never meant to save you. It was meant to inspire you to save yourself, but it is not meant to save you. So there is that energy of having courage here, having empowerment here, and even surviving adversity. So maybe you saw this person surviving a lot of adversity in their own life, so they inspired you to try to figure out your own challenges, your own problems. We all have challenges and problems. So to get into that mode of saving yourself and having accountability over your life, and realizing that every single action that you take is your accountability. I know it's hard to think about these things, but it's the truth. So this is again really reinforcing here a karmic or even initiatory purpose with this relationship, pushing you towards your own growth through challenges. And this is not really showing a reunion through harmony. Let's go ahead and move forward. We're getting the ant cooperation. So maybe you guys actually worked together, because ants are very hard workers. They work in very large packs. So again, with that networker and the ant here, I'm really sensing that you guys met in some type of group, or maybe you guys first saw each other in some type of group. With this card coming up, it's really highlighting issues around effort, reciprocity, and shared responsibility. So maybe you guys collaborated on something together. Maybe there was some type of mutual effort going on between this relationship. However, maybe you guys were actually feeling very alone in the work that you were doing. Even if it was relationship type of things that you were working on, feeling alone while you're doing that. So maybe you were giving a lot and it wasn't very balanced in the relationship. So if the connection lacked cooperation, it leans again towards karmic patterning, where you are learning about your relational needs by experiencing that imbalance. So the universe is a funny thing. It will give you something that shows you that your needs are not being met. Again, so maybe you're wanting cooperation, balance in relationships. However, the universe keeps giving you imbalance, keeps giving you things that are showing you that certain people that you're choosing, the decisions that you're making towards who you're allowing in your life, is causing you imbalances, and they're not giving even half of what they take. So that is your sign to choose differently, make different choices, and not choose again and again the karmic when there's potentially a soul level relationship for you. However, on the flip side, if you do feel like you are cooperating very well with this person, you're networking very well with their network, and they're networking very well with your network, and even they inspire you to save yourself and you inspire them to save themselves, then maybe this is something more significant. However, because of some of the cards that I'm getting up here with a lot of page energy, which is going to signal a little bit of immaturity in the Nine of Swords, I'm leaning towards that this is a karmic, but you have to interpret it the best way that you can for your situation. Okay, let's go ahead and move forward. We're getting bear, healing and nurturing. I love this. Love this little bear cubs and a very nurturing woman here in the picture. There's number 16 here. 1 + 6 is 7. 7 is a quite spiritual number. So maybe this is a spiritual relationship at the end of the day. Even if it is karmic, it is spiritual at the same time, because maybe you have a soul contract with this person to teach them X, Y, and Z. And in turn, they are here to teach you X, Y, and Z. Maybe it's different lessons. Maybe it's the same lesson. Maybe it's even lessons that are complementary towards each other. So this card is honestly emphasizing a healing journey triggered by this connection. And again, maybe you need to heal yourself. Maybe you need to nurture yourself. You can't expect other people to heal and nurture you. So this is really giving me the energy of having to do self-care, recovering from this and emotionally processing this situation and this relationship. Because again, with this Nine of Swords coming up, this is a sleepless nights type of energy. This is anxiety, worry, fear, depression, and nightmares. So I want to be very clear here that there is something off with the relationship. So let's go ahead and move on now. All right, we're getting new moon in Gemini. Think it through. All right, so maybe you have Gemini in your chart, maybe they have Gemini in their chart. And with this card coming up, new moon is a low energy period because the moon cannot reflect as well as it can in a full moon. And with the card saying think it through, I think that you have been thinking about this relationship a lot, having sleepless nights about the relationship. So this card is coming up to encourage you to have that mental clarity, communication, and even a strategy on how to move forward. So this card stresses that mental clarity before making any type of actions. I feel like you have been very, very emotional lately and maybe not thinking before acting, and that's going to have issues on the relationship. Maybe you're thinking about talking through the problems or even managing expectations with this person. However, it seems like there's a bit of a dead end here, and that this is all leading towards trying to communicate better, but maybe the lesson is communicating better on both ends. However, it doesn't end up in a relationship. This could reinforce the need to understand the lesson here and not cling to this connection, which is again consistent with that karmic energy and potentially wanting karmic closure from this. It is okay to try to inquire with this person and communicate with this person on lessons learned on both ends, but there needs to be that boundary there, because I don't think that you guys are pushing each other to be the best versions of yourself. I'm not seeing that in the cards. So I'm suggesting that you need to take a step back and think this relationship through. So let's go ahead and move on. We're getting reflecting pool stillness, number 33 here. 33 is a very spiritual number. 3 plus 3 is 6, which is a harmonious number. So if any of those numbers resonate to you, I see that you have been having your ups and downs and a lot of emotional volatility. So I suggest having that stillness. Meditation is something I always recommend, and being able to think through the situation and this relationship. Because the overall truth about this connection is this connection seems to be a catalyst, very emotional, dramatic, transformative, and educational. However, it is showing me also anxiety inducing, disorienting, and imbalanced, not an equal give or take. So these are strong markers of a karmic connection that initiates growth through contrast and challenge. So all in all, pile number 1, is it a twin flame or is it a karmic? This relationship, in my opinion, with the cards on the table here, is a karmic relationship with a transformative lesson, not a twin flame union. So it came into your life to trigger your self-awareness, activate healing within you, teach you boundaries, and build an emotional maturity within yourself. This is not about merging souls, uniting long-term, or even fulfilling your destiny as a pair. There might be somebody else to fulfill your destiny with after you've done the healing. So why does this relationship matter? This relationship still matters because the connection changed you. It should have pushed you into growing up emotionally, because again, we have 2 pages here, and communicating more clearly, valuing your peace, and stepping into your truth. It caused you pain because it was destined to awaken you. It is not destined to comfort you. That will be more a soulmate relationship than even a twin flame. A twin flame relationship can feel like this. However, on the other end, there should be radical change from both people and a lot of transformation on both ends rather than just on one end. So the truth about this connection is it really does seem to be karmic, not twin flame. It has activated your transformation. It taught you those necessary lessons, and it really serves a specific purpose for you in your life. And now I feel like the role it has played in your life is complete. So the point here isn't ending up together. The point here is to become who you needed to be for yourself. Pile number 1, that is your reading. I hope you enjoyed the reading. Maybe it wasn't what you wanted to hear, but what you needed to hear. If you enjoy this reading, please give me a big like down below and comment down pile number 1 to tell me that you chose this pile, or comment down below what you resonated with in this reading. Love to see your comments. When you interact with the reading, you bring the energy closer to you. I'm wishing you major abundance and transformation in your life. And of course, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this channel. I post new pick a card readings just like this one every single week. So I hope to see you here again soon. Until next time, bye, Pal 1. Hi, Pal 2. If you chose the Labradorite heart, this is going to be your reading. All right, let's go ahead and get started with the tarot cards. We're getting the World, King of Swords, Six of Wands, Temperance, the Five of Swords, and then the Two of Wands. All right, so before we actually get into the tarot cards, I do want to talk about the Labradorite heart and why you might have been drawn to the Labradorite heart. So the Labradorite heart is actually a stone talking about spiritual transformation. And it also talks about soul evolution, having an identity shift. So the stone appears when a relationship acts as a catalyst for awakening, since it is talking about those heavier topics. This connection was meant to transform you, not to soothe you because of the Labradorite, if we were looking at just the definition of the Labradorite heart. This crystal is suggesting that this relationship has activated your intuition, your self-awareness, and a higher purpose within you. It's signaling that you're ending a phase of an identity that you do not actually resonate with, and you are now stepping into a new version of yourself. So if we were going to analyze just the Labradorite heart, for the title of this video, the crystal is leaning towards a karmic transformational type of connection and not a destined reunion. So its purpose is activation and evolution, not stability or union. But let's go ahead and get into the tarot cards if you'd like to stay. I do like to just tell you like it is. So if this is not the answer you were looking for, I understand. However, this may have the message that you need. So let's go ahead and get started with the World. So the World is talking all about things like completion, integration, and mastery. It is Saturn and Earth energy. There is also a sense of travel, success, accomplishment, reward, and joy with the World card. This is a strong indicator for me that the connection here has fulfilled its soul contract. I definitely do see that you guys have had a soul contract together, whether it was to teach each other different things, complementary things, or just awaken a soul evolution within you two. But it is showing me that that contract has been fulfilled. So with the World coming up first, it's showing me that a karmic cycle has completed at this time and a lesson has been integrated. You're starting to graduate into a new life chapter at this point. So this card is suggesting that karmic completion and not an ongoing twin flame union. So even though you may be in pain at this time because of the ending of the relationship and inquiring about the relationship, this may be a catalyst moment for you to realize that this was here to teach you something rather than be there as a companion throughout your life. So with the King of Swords coming next, this is talking all about that truth, that clarity, and rational detachment. So maybe that is this reading, or maybe that is different intuitive nudges that you have gotten throughout your search for answers. So this person or this dynamic really forced you to shift into clarity, boundaries, and self-authority. Maybe you gave away yourself in this relationship. Maybe you didn't have that clarity, didn't have those boundaries in this relationship, which is an indicator of a karmic relationship as well. With the King of Swords coming up here, this is Capricorn and Aquarius energy. And this is telling me that there is no more fantasy in this relationship or projection in this relationship. You're finally seeing things for what they are. And there's a real emphasis here on mental maturity because this is the King of Swords. So it is the king that is most closely tied to that mental clarity and intellectual power. They have a lot of truth and authority in their being. So this is showing that you're beginning to claim your voice and your standards in relationships. This connection has started to help you with you building up discernment. It has sharpened your discernment, which is the hallmark sign of a karmic teacher and not a twin flame merging. With the Six of Wands next, this is a turning point, a very happy card. This is success, public recognition, progress, and self-confidence. You are now beginning to develop self-confidence after this relationship. This is Jupiter and Leo energy. And again, with that victory energy, the recognition energy, and confidence energy, I sense that you did benefit from this connection, not because it lasted forever or was meant to last forever, but because it pushed you into your own success, your visibility, and self-esteem. And if that's not where you're at right now, I definitely see after you give yourself some clarity seen here in the King of Swords, that you will have that victory. You will have that recognition and confidence come back into your life. You're going to be building upon your self-esteem. So what does this mean? This means that you will be glowing up. You'll be leveling up. You'll be seeing momentum and achievement in your life and also you may start noticing that other people will see you differently. People are going to show you more respect as you navigate your life in clearer terms. So this connection really evolved your identity. It kicked you up to the next level, which really aligns again with being a karmic catalyst relationship that prepares you rather than goes with you to your next chapter. Then we move on to Temperance here, which is Sagittarius energy. It's fire energy, and this is all about integrating balance and spiritual healing. So after this relationship has ended, it really has triggered some integration within you for you to start thinking about things. You're bringing balance back into your life, and you are healing spiritually with this card coming up. So this relationship really triggered a journey for you to go towards harmony, go towards emotional regulation, and go towards inner peace. So maybe the relationship represented all the opposite things: chaos, emotional dysregulation, inner dissatisfaction. So maybe those are the things that you felt when you were in this person's presence, and maybe you just started realizing that when you were out of this, that you were a lot more peaceful and harmonious. So the themes here, as we can see with the Temperance, they have a dark, I think this is the moon, and then the sun. So this is really showing that you're healing extremes here. You're balancing those extremes. You're developing spiritual guidance. You're developing patience and maturity. Twin flame relationships carry this energy as well when they are stable. But here it feels more like you learned temperance because this connection was imbalanced. Again, suggesting that there is a karmic level to this relationship rather than the divine eternal union of a twin flame relationship. However, I want to make a comment, because if this is not resonating with you and you do think that you're twin flames, yes, twin flame relationships can have extremes, can have a very difficult journey that has ups and downs. However, both individuals end up changing because you marry each other. If you're truly twin flames from the same soul, you will marry each other. However, if you both get worse, the potential that you will both get worse, but that is usually when a separation happens, and then you will both typically try to work on yourselves. If that's more resonant with you, you can keep listening to the reading. However, I do see that this potential relationship here on the table might be more karmic because it's showing me a lot more of an individual learning rather than a union of people learning together. Let's go ahead and move on to the Five of Swords. In this particular reading, this Five of Swords is showing me that this is the shadow of this particular connection. This is a dynamic of tension, competition, or even emotional warfare, because the Five of Swords is conflict, ego battles, and power struggles. Maybe there was a lot of conflicts in this relationship, a lot of ego battles and struggles. You may have seen themes of defensiveness or needing to win, and even themes of miscommunication in this relationship. This indicates, again, a karmic challenge that was meant to expose wounds and patterns, not a twin flame harmony. Twin flames, again, can trigger pain, but they rarely encourage ongoing ego battles without any type of resolution. That's what I meant. You could be in a twin flame relationship where there's a bit of an ego battle. However, twins will typically not stay in that energy. They will try to resolve that energy. The triggers inside a twin flame relationship come up so you can heal them, but a karmic challenge is meant to expose those wounds, those patterns, and not really heal them. You have to end up going out of the relationship to reflect and heal on your own in karmic relationships. However, both is for your highest good. If you were in a place in your life where you attracted a karmic, there is a lesson to be learned there. Regardless of if we try to avoid the karmic relationship or not, another person will come. It will come in another form, whether it is a friend, a coworker, an emotional relationship, a romantic relationship, a family member starting stuff with you. It's gonna come. The best thing to do is just to learn the lesson and really integrate that lesson within you. And also, if you're deeply connected to spirit, which I sense that you are, that you will be getting signs left and right and center about that type of situation. Even me and what I'm saying here is a sign for you. However, you may also get little shorts come up on your feed that really resonate to this particular situation that you're in, or you even watch a movie and you realize that is very in line with what I'm actually going through right now. Maybe this is quite a sign. And that can happen with twin flame relationships as well, that you will get signs that this person is your twin through, again, movies or maybe things that you see, family, just quotes that you get, maybe even the fortune cookie. The universe is always trying to show you things to help you along your journey. And a karmic challenge is also meant to help you. Let's go ahead and move on now to the Two of Wands. The Two of Wands is at the end here, showing that you will end up in a phase of planning, having a vision, and looking at new horizons. This is you planning for a future beyond this connection. And I love that it ends with the Two of Wands, because it shows that there is a completely new horizon on the line for you here. Every ending is a beginning truly, and we started off with the World. That is perfect right there. It's a full circle moment that when this ends, you learn a lot, you get that mental clarity, you start to get recognition, even balance within yourself, but maybe just things are lingering that you still need to think about, and then you look on to new horizons. The themes here with the Two of Wands is really about that expansion, redirection, and getting new adventures in your life. This is Mars and Aries energy, and Mars rules over Aries. This is a fiery energy. This is somebody that is not going to let little things like a relationship ending stop them. They're on to the next. They're ready to future plan, make progress in their life, make new decisions, and discover new things in their life. I am super rooting for you, my lovely pal number twos. And that is all I have for you for the tarot story. Let's go ahead and move on to the oracle cards now. All right. So we're getting beggar. The archetype is beggar. We're getting light attributes is confronts empowerment at the level of physical survival, awakens the spiritual authority of humility, compassion, and self-esteem. The shadow attribute says dependence on others to the exclusion of effort. All right, with this card coming up, this may be your archetype or their archetype or something that you've noticed here. With this card, I'm sensing that this connection is exposed patterns of seeking validation, attention, or worth externally. But the thing is, when you're seeking anything external, it's never going to work out because everything is already within you. And I know a lot of spiritual people talk about this, but the truth is you'll never be happy looking for happiness outside. You have to be happy within, and you're not going to be validated by any external thing. A lot of people validate themselves by who they're connected to, who they're dating, what they're wearing, how much money they make, etc. All these things. However, those things don't validate you in the long term. You must validate yourself through your own values, who you are, and knowing who you are. A lot of people are very lost. They look external and they have external locuses of control. However, shifting to an internal locus of control, realizing that you have everything within you, is the thing that's going to be the best for you. With this backer card coming here too, it also gives me the energy of potentially having emotional dependence on this person, having self-esteem struggles in this relationship. Maybe they brought your self-esteem down, maybe you brought their self-esteem down, and this card is showing me that you're finally learning to self-source, which connects here with the Six of Wands, because you're gonna start getting that public recognition, success, and self-confidence after you realize to self-source, have that internal locus of control. With this particular beggar card coming up in the archetype here, shows me that karmic relationships actually often activate old wounds that you've had from potentially your childhood or the past. They can be healed. However, twin flames tend to mirror wholeness once healed. Twin flames can also mirror your wounds, but to heal on both ends. What do I mean by this? Maybe if both twins do have low self-esteem, which is honestly quite common. Don't worry about it if you do have low esteem at this time. They're meant to trigger each other into almost this energy of feeling sick of having low self-esteem, not wanting to sit in that low self-esteem and doing something about it, building something to actually make them confident in themselves. Let's give an example, because I'd love to give an example through house. Okay, what is this? The 9th house. Okay, this is potentially traveling, higher philosophies, etc. Maybe you have low self-esteem in your worldly knowledge, let's say. And instead of being sick of having that low self-esteem, because also higher education. Maybe you're not a school type of person. Maybe you didn't get through college, and college was never for you. You still wanted that higher knowledge, that expanding of the worldview and philosophy. Instead of being sick of yourself, of having low self-esteem because you're not good at college, you're doing something about it. You're gonna buy that flight, go travel, which really connects to the world here as well. So maybe this is your true sign that you finally go buy that ticket, you go travel the world, you go discover yourself overseas, and then you start having more self-esteem because you did that by yourself. You went overseas by yourself, or maybe with your twin flame if we're talking about a twin flame relationship here, and you don't feel you need to have that college degree anymore because you have those philosophies that you learned overseas. You have that well-roundedness from being overseas. That's just a quick little example. You guys can understand here what a twin flame would mirror rather than what a karmic would mirror. In a twin flame relationship, they might inspire you to go do that travel, and instead of pushing you maybe towards more schooling. However, a karmic, maybe they worsen your self-esteem by telling you you should be good at college. I don't understand why you're not good at college, stuff like that. And then maybe you try to perform to get this person's validation, and then you realize I'm doing something I don't like for somebody that doesn't actually even care about me, and then it's just all bad. Potentially another way I could see a karmic relation going on about the 9th house with an example is maybe instead of having any compassion towards you or empathy towards you, they just actually flee the country and go on their own trip without even inviting you. Giving you that catalyst of, well, if they're gonna go do that, learn all these things overseas, then that's an inspiration to me to go do that thing. And maybe I will also feel similarly as them. That's just an example in how it can manifest differently in a karmic relationship and in a twin flame relationship. Again, that karmic relationship is really going to activate any old wounds so you can be healed. And this connection was clearly a teacher and not some type of soulmate or twin flame here. All right, let's go ahead and move on. We're getting otter, playfulness. I really love otters. I don't know if you guys have ever seen an otter in a zoo. They're so cute, and they do literally lay like that on their backs and they slap their bellies. Besides the point though, the otter here really shows me there's joy, playfulness, and emotional lightness entering back into your life after this karmic cycle closes. This energy really starts to blossom again and return again after you shut the door on this karmic relationship. You still have to reflect on the relationship and learn from the relationship, or you'll just get another karmic. But if you do that learning, oh wait, do you notice how these cards, the colors are almost the same? Literally, when you end this cycle with this person, this will gonna be you. You might be the otter, you might be the girl, I don't know. But I just feel like entering back into playfulness is gonna feel nice. It's reclaiming joy, relearning that balance in your life, and finally healing through pleasurable things. This really suggests to me that you're recovering from a really intense karmic experience and repositioning yourself into a lighter emotional frequency. I don't wanna make light of the situation here because I do sense that this could be you, literally just full-on headache about this connection, but it was here to teach you something. And I am very spiritual. I really think that every single person that we meet in our lives is by no mistake. There is some contact there, or there's some meaning there, there's some connection, some tie there. You don't meet people by accident, not in my opinion. I just really try to learn as much as I can from each person that I encounter because I just feel we made some type of deal in the other. Might as well learn, right? Because I potentially don't want to see you in the next life. Let's just learn it in this life and then we can move forward. And I really suggest that might be something good for you as well. All right. We're getting Falcon, strong vision and success. 23, 2 plus 3 is 5. That's a major change there. 5 is the number of transformation, conflict, and change. Actually, this is giving me the same energy as the King of Swords here. There's two very similar birds here. What I'm getting out of this is after this relationship ends and you get that mental clarity back, that your vision for your life is going to be sharp and your success is going to start kicking up. This card really is signaling a new version of you is beginning to emerge with a lot of clarity and intention. This is themes of goal setting, strategy, and a future focus. Twin flames often come after a karmic relationship teaches you your own personal authority and lessons that you needed to learn before connecting with the twin flame. And hey, maybe your twin flame had their own karmic that they had to deal with. Once you guys both learn those lessons, you'll be closer and closer to meeting each other. This connection may have done just that, give you that clarity that you need to get closer to who you're meant to be. Let's go ahead and move forward. New moon in Aries, go for it. So yeah, honestly, with this relationship, I really do think that maybe they messed up your self-esteem and then you were thinking that you were believing them essentially, and you let them mess up your self-esteem. But now you have all that courage back, you have all that action and initiative back in your energy, and this message is really telling you to just move forward boldly and not waiting for this person to return. If you were waiting for this person to return, not waiting for this person to change or anything, it is just time to go for it, move forward. And this again is really suggesting to me that this connection is not meant to circle back. Maybe you guys did go through cycles of circling back, but that wasn't meant to be forever. That's over now. Now you're being guided to launch forward into new experiences that are going to be the best for you. Let's go ahead and move on. Ooh, we're getting the unicorn purity. 4 + 5 is 9. You guys, 9 is a number of completion as well. We're getting completion at the very last card and completion as the very first card. That is a clear indicator to me that this relationship is done, or it should be done. You can do whatever you want. If you feel like you still have lessons to learn in the relationship, then absolutely. Who am I to say you are done? But the cards, if we were just going to go off the cards do suggests that there is really nothing more to learn here. However, you will learn as much as you want to learn, and you will cycle back as much as you want to cycle back. With the unicorn here, it again is talking about that purity, renewal even, and I'm also sensing a miracle kind of energy out of this. This is honestly a spiritual reset for you and a new beginning for you. You have purified yourself through this relationship and taking time to yourself. Maybe you went and traveled, and now you're ready to release any past cycles that you've had with this person, renew innocence in your life, and believe in the new possibilities that are going to be entering your life. This to me really confirms that this connection's role was a catalyst for purification and rebirth, which is classic karmic transformation energy. The overall truth that I'm seeing in the cards here about this connection is honestly every single connection, every single card is really showing me some type of initiation to a completion, some type of conflict going into clarity, going from dependence to empowerment, pain to integration, stagnation to expansion. This is classic karmic architecture here on the table. It is really designed to evolve you and not bind you to this person. It is okay to let things go that are no longer serving you. And honestly, this was a karmic transformational connection that completed a major cycle in your life. You can expect better things to come towards you soon. This relationship may have felt fated, magical, or even spiritually activating, which is connected to the Labradorite, but the result is actually closure, graduation, an identity upgrade, and forward movement. Not meant to be an eternal bond, a twin flame, some type of reunion arc, or an ongoing union. This was truly, I could see it in the cards, a soul contract, not a soulmate home. With that being said, doesn't mean that the soul contract was fruitless. Why did this relationship matter then? Well, this connection I can see initiated self-authority, confidence, vision, balance, purpose, and renewal in your life. It really launched you into a much more powerful timeline, not because it stayed with you, but because it ended and it taught you so much. The bottom line is that this relationship seems to be karmic, purposeful, and intense. It has completed its cycle, it has transformed you, and it really has prepared you for somebody way more aligned with who you are becoming. And it is pushing you into your next chapter. This was not a failure because it ended. This is an initiation to a new level of you. Pile number 3, that's actually all I have for you today. I hope you did enjoy this reading. I really enjoyed reading it for you. Make sure you give me a big like down below and comment down pile 2 or what resonated with you. I'd love to see your guys' comments. When you interact with a reading, you pull the energy closer to you, so make sure you interact below. And of course, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I post new pick a card tarot readings just like this one every single week. I hope to see you here again soon. Until next time, bye, pile 2. Hi, pile 3. If you chose the red Aventurine star, this is going to be your reading. Let's go ahead and get started with the tarot cards before we jump in. All right, we're getting Judgment, the 7 of Coins, Temperance, 7 of Swords, Ruler of Cups, and Sovereign of Wands. All right, so with these tarot cards, I'm sensing a lot of powerful energy because we're getting a lot of major arcana. We're getting Temperance, Judgment, and 2 court cards here. Before we get into the tarot story, I'd like to talk about the red Aventurine star and why you may have been drawn to the red Aventurine star. Red Aventurine is all about empowerment, passion, willpower, and resilience. The stone helps with strengthening our confidence, emotional stamina, and the ability to take bold action in our lives. The red Aventurine is going to be useful for you if you're working on courage and self-belief, emotional strength and perseverance, determination and resilience, and grounding passion into your life. This crystal does help indicate that this connection has activated your strength and not your softness, pushing you to grow through challenges, triggers, and personal breakthroughs. With just the red Aventurine, it would suggest that this is more so a karmic catalyst energy designed to initiate personal evolution rather than a gentle twin flame union designed to support mutual harmony. That is just the red Aventurine star, but let's go ahead and get into the tarot cards to see what other messages we can get. Judgment starting us off. This is Pluto and fire energy here. This connection has really initiated a massive spiritual awakening or identity shift within you, because the Judgment card talks about rebirth, reckoning, awakening, and release. There is a calling here. There is a destiny and a purpose here. This is talking about having accountability and truth, releasing any old patterns that you might have had through self-awareness and judgment of the situation, signaling choosing your future consciously, having that discernment, having that judgment. There is an inner calling within you to understand and assess the situation for what it was. So the Judgment card really suggests that this relationship has brought you a karmic reckoning, really forcing you to confront those truths, close cycles, and transform deeply. This is a typical indicator for karmic or past life entanglements, not really giving twin flame energy with Judgment coming off right at the beginning. So let's go ahead and move forward. We're getting the 7 of coins next, which is actually Saturn and Taurus energy. And this is an investment, patience, and evaluation. So potentially you invested a lot into this relationship. You have patience for its evolution, but maybe it never actually showed you that evolution. This connection required time, energy, and emotional investment. But the results of the investment that you made may have been slow, potentially even uncertain or non-reciprocal. With this 7 of coins here in this particular question that we're asking Spirit, twin flame, or karmic, the truth about this connection, this is really showing me that you may have been waiting for this person to give as much as you were giving. However, that may have never came about. It also shows me that you potentially were thinking about this long term and coming out of it. And also the 7 of coins tells me that it's really important for you to pause and assess the progress of this relationship. So if you were the only one putting in effort and perseverance for this relationship, getting really nothing back, it is really good to pause and really assess that. So this is really a common dynamic in karmic relationships where the energy is poured in for growth, but it's really not rewarded with any type of union or any type of reciprocity. So twin flame connections can also take time. They can also take a lot of commitment and investment, but they do typically show very clear mutual momentum, not stagnation and not uncertainty. You may have feelings of stagnation and uncertainty at times, but you're both meant to be catalysts for each other. So true twin flame relationships, they grow at a rapid rate. They will literally have 10 lifetimes in one lifetime, because not everyone gets to be with their twin flame. Not everyone is a twin flame. Maybe you're not ready for that. It's quite intense. So this relationship might be a catalyst for you to grow. And every relationship that comes into your life is of our benefit, even if it is painful. So even if you went through a lot of pain in this relationship, it is still here to teach you something very, very important for your future. So let's go ahead and move forward. We are getting Temperance next, and Temperance is Sagittarius energy, fire energy. And this is really showing me that you're entering a phase of balance, moderation, healing, and purpose. So this relationship really challenged your ability to cultivate that emotional balance within you and having that inner wholeness. But after you're able to step away from this relationship and gain your clarity back, you are going to be able to cultivate that emotional balance back and get that inner wholeness on your very own. So this is really showing themes of regulation, patience, having a spiritual integration, healing those extremes, and restoring an inner equilibrium. Twin flame relationships end up in divine union once they're healed. But here, temperance is showing up as a survival skill, necessary because the dynamic that you had with this particular person was destabilizing. So this is a sign of very deep karmic emotional work and not twin flame synergy. So I'd love to talk about synergy here with the twin flame dynamic. So once twin flames go through a point of contention, conflict, they end up going into temperance, balance, moderation, and they will both be working on their strengths and typically complementary. So some twin flames are on a soul journey, destiny to better the world in some way. Even if it's not world-changing type of stuff, although some twin flames are here to change the world, on some level, twin flames are meant to complement each other and really have that synergy. One person can have a really complementary strength to the other person, and them together is an unstoppable force. So if you're not resonating with that message, then I would say that this is more of a karmic than a twin flame. So let's go ahead and move on. We're getting the Seven of Swords right here. So this is Moon in Aquarius energy, and it does talk about deception, secrecy, strategy, and self-protection. So with those themes coming up in this particular reading, this is a high indicator of karmic entanglement here, where the wounds around trust, abandonment, or self-worth are triggered for your own healing. So this connection probably involved dishonesty, avoidance, or withheld truth from either one or both sides. So the themes that come up with the Seven of Swords is hidden motives, sneaky behavior, emotional withholding, and a fear of vulnerability. So that may have showed up again on your end or on their end, but that is again really indicating a karmic entanglement. Twin flames may also trigger wounds, but they often push towards transparency, not repeating cycles of deception. We now move on to the Ruler of Cups, which is the King of Cups in this particular tarot, and after these cycles of potentially destabilizing things, you're entering into a period of emotional intelligence, compassion, and balanced feelings. So this is indicating somebody capable of emotional depth, empathy, and maturity is coming into your life, either emerging after the ending of this connection, or you become this because of the connection. The King of Cups is very emotionally mature, has a diplomatic way of communicating, and has very compassionate leadership. So maybe this is something that is going to be entering your life soon, or this is something that you're developing in your own spirit. So this card suggests the end result of this connection is that emotional maturation, which is often a spiritual prize of the karmic lesson, of the karmic teacher. You get this beautiful lesson, this beautiful soft skill in your tool shed for you to use for the rest of your life. So it's not a sign of a destined union with the original person, but this is showing that when you become this in your own self, you might start to attract King of Cups type of people into your life as well. Whether it's friends, whether it's an actual relationship, you're going to be able to attract more pure people that have good intentions. So let's go ahead and move on to the Sovereign of Wands, which is the Queen of Wands. So the Queen of Wands is very confident, she's independent, courageous, and she has a lot of social magnetism. So this connection has awakened your fire, your charisma, and your independence. So you learned personal power through this relationship, and your visibility and your magnetism is actually going to increase after this relationship. You're learning to have decisive action after being in a relationship that was so destabilizing, and beginning to act in a way that shows you that you can lead yourself. The Queen of Wands is really suggesting to me that you're meant to stand independent and empowered, not intertwined romantically with somebody that is destabilizing. This aligns with that karmic liberation and not a twin flame merging. All right, so that's all I have for the tarot story. Let's go ahead and move on to the oracle cards. So first we got a femme fatale. This is light attribute, says highlights the erotic energy of the feminine, opens your heart when your dependency is rejected. Maybe you were feeling dependent and got rejected because of it. And then the shadow attribute says inappropriate use of sensuality, attachment to money, and power. All right, so with this femme fatale coming up, this could be your archetype or the archetype that was brought out in you when you were in this relationship, or this could even be their archetype. There's a lot of themes here surrounding magnetism, seduction, and even emotional complexity. This archetype really reflects power, allure, and possibly manipulative dynamics here. There may have been a lot of seduction in the beginning of this relationship or throughout the relationship, elements of control and even strategy, because we do also have the Seven of Swords here, and this is a strategic card talking about getting away with something or even acting strategically. Betrayal and deception, that could be the shadow side of this relationship. There might have been emotional detachment in the relationship or even power imbalances. It could be quite heavy, but the positive expression of the femme fatale is opening your heart once those patterns are challenged. This archetype really hints that there was a lot of sexual chemistry in this relationship. However, also power games, which is a classic marker of karmic intensity and not a twin flame spiritual partnership. Maybe y'all drew this in because you wanted to have that hot, passionate, steamy type of relationship that was full of lessons, because that's definitely what I'm seeing here at this time. The cards are starting to make more sense with this femme fatale coming up, because I do feel like you guys were very deeply entangled in this relationship, and I can see why. If you guys were very, very sexually compatible, it might have been a little bit hard to let that go. On the other hand, twin flames actually heal your ego through blunt honesty. So we don't need to have no ego going through the world, because you'll end up in the loony bin if you have zero ego. You won't be able to control your life or yourself because there will be no driver in your seat. But we want a healthy ego. So a twin flame is going to basically call you out very bluntly. And a karmic connection actually ends up heightening your ego through potentially seduction, control, or just in a sense amplifying your ego and the things that you already came into the relationship egoic about. They might highlight that, amplify that, encourage it, which is really a indicator, again, of karmic things. So let's talk about the femme fatale and what I mean here. So maybe you are this archetype. Your twin flame is going to appreciate your erotic energy and appreciate your open heart, but they will reject you being dependent. They would encourage you to be not only sexy, but independent. So that is something that's going to help you heal. And in a karmic, maybe you're really sexy and they just really feed into the fact that they also think you're really sexy. So now you feel your sexiness is what is valuable about you, and you start to become more and more and more dependent on their validation. They don't reject your dependency. Instead, they encourage you to be dependent on them because they know that they could pull away their compliments about your sexiness at any time. So it's really all about feeding more and more into your ego. So they may bring you around to show their friends how sexy you are and amplify that you only have that to offer in a relationship because they are valuing it so much. They make you feel like you're super hot, but at the same time, it's almost like you're growing independency towards them because they saw one of your strengths that you also think is a strength, which is that magnetism, that seduction. However, they've amplified it so much that they're magnifying your ego and causing that dependence on them because you like how you feel around somebody that highlights one of your strengths. Instead of damping down that strength, because we already know you're sexy, like a twin flame would, and trying to get you to be working on things that you're not as strong as. Okay, so that's the truth of a twin flame relationship. They're going to try to get you to be whole, and a karmic is going to maybe highlight one or two things and have you feeling very disoriented, honestly. So let's go ahead and move forward. The dog, loyalty, love that. So I feel you sensed that you wanted a lot of loyalty in this relationship. This dog here, and that she's obviously pregnant and she has a white dress on, so I'm assuming that she just got married. So with this card coming up, what I'm sensing with the dog for this relationship is there's this highlight of the themes of commitment, trust, and faithful bonds. But the Seven of Swords is also here. So even though you wanted that commitment, this trust, the faithful bonds, you wanted the marriage, you wanted the baby, you wanted the dog, you wanted all that stuff, you wanted devotion, consistency, you wanted emotional loyalty, attachment, and unconditional love. But did you get that in this relationship? Or were you being overly loyal to somebody that wasn't even loyal to you potentially? I'm sorry to say that, but that just came up. Or potentially just staying too long with this person that really just didn't show you that they could provide you with the things that you wanted. So you may have stayed loyal past the point of health, which is really common in karmic bonds where the emotional wounds override any logic that you have. You may be a very smart person, whether that's book smarts or street smarts, but for some reason this relationship has disoriented you so much to the point where you totally lost yourself and you weren't able to think logically. So a twin flame, on the other hand, the energy there would usually encourage equal loyalty and equal and mutual responsibility in relationships. Both people would show devotion, both people would show consistency, emotional loyalty, that attachment, unconditional love, and being loyal to each other. So I'm sensing there's something about loyalty here. And since we're getting femme fatale and seven of swords, I'm not really surprised if there was some type of third party situation. I'm not clearly getting that because we would have got potentially three of pentacles or three of cups if that was the case, but maybe themes of loyalty came up once or twice in this relationship. Let's move forward. We're getting horse, independence, and willpower. Number 19 here. So 1 plus 9 is 10 is a 1. So that's independent energy here. Number 1 is very independent energy, and it says independence here. So what's that showing me? That's showing me that this relationship really emphasizes the need for you to have self-reliance, freedom, and your own personal power. Having that independence is going to be so important because the truth is you're the only one that's going to be with you for your whole life. People are going to come and go. Nobody's there with you all the time. You have to be comfortable with your own self and being alone. And other relationships are going to add to your life. And also with it saying willpower here, I think it's going to take a lot of sheer willpower for you to get out of this karmic cycle with this person, shut the door, and move forward back into your personal power. So there's really themes here of having inner strength coming back, taking bold action, having autonomy, and resilience, especially after a karmic relationship as such. This is not easy. I could sense off the cards very clearly that this was not an easy relationship, not an easy connection at all, but this is a spiritual direction towards your own liberation, not for you to fuse with this person and continue being with this person. This is reinforcing that energy of karmic completion, not a twin flame reunion. All right, let's go ahead and move on. First quarter moon in Pisces, honor your feelings. So obviously after going through such a hard time with this relationship, it's very, very understandable that you need some time to honor your feelings, understand your feelings, really chew on what has happened. Because sometimes when we're in destabilizing relationships as this, we don't even have our head straight. We can't even think. So it's understandable that during the situation you wouldn't be able to understand. But once you look back at the situation, things become a lot more clear. So this card is really urging that emotional honesty and vulnerability with yourself. So I'm sensing that mirror work is going to be important for you. Talk to yourself, looking in the mirror, looking into your own eyes, as if you were talking to a friend. Tell your friend, which is you in the mirror, what you experienced in this relationship. And you'll be surprised. I know that sounds like such a weird kind of exercise because a lot of us potentially only look in the mirror when we're getting cleaned up, we're getting ready, or maybe in passing when we pass a mirror, but we don't actually sit there, talk to ourselves in a mirror. But it's very spiritual, very powerful work. You're going to start to realize how foolish the story sounds when you're looking at yourself and you're telling the story. You're like, oh, I was in such a karmic toxic relationship now that I say it out loud to myself. And have that compassion for yourself as well. I'm not saying bash yourself because you're finally realizing things. It's okay that you realize things even if it is late. It's better late than never. So with this card coming up, honor all those feelings, really understand, do that mirror work, process those real feelings that you had, and dropping any of those emotional excuses or facades that you had about the relationship, and start to develop your own intuition and emotional truth regarding this relationship and any relationship that enters your life in the future. So the shadow side of not honoring your feelings is the avoidance of emotion and even spiritual bypassing. So karmic connections often force you to confront any buried emotions or shadow patterns that you might have been carrying with you, rather than having and offering a safe relational healing where both people mutually heal. So that would be something more in line with a twin flame, the relational healing where both heal. Karmic connections are really going to force you to a point of discomfort that you will have to confront those buried emotions and those shadow patterns. It'll just keep coming up. You'll start to feel like you're not yourself. You'll start to feel like you're turning dark or evil or etc. in a connection with a karmic person if you stay too long. And I do sense there's a feeling of staying too long here because the loyalty card came up here. So I'm really, really sorry that that has happened. However, things are going to be changing for you soon. I really do see that for you. So let's go ahead and move forward. Foggy Bog, patience, number 18 here. 1 plus 8 is 9. You guys, 9 is a completion number. So with the completion number, it's really showing me that this is done. I think that you finally reached a breaking point that nobody could have talked you into before. You had to reach this kind of karmic breaking point on your own. And it's been a foggy road. I really am sensing that it has been a very difficult, foggy road. You might have not seen light for a while. It's just giving me, I'm getting a vision of when the winter is here, there's days on days where the sun doesn't come out, it's cloudy, it's rainy, it's foggy, and you just can't see right. And I think that was this relationship for you. With the card actually saying patience here, it's really showing me that you went through a long period of uncertainty, obscured truth, and you needed to pause at the end of a relationship that caused all those things. So just have patience with yourself, because all of that confusion, emotional fog, lack of clarity, and waiting for a truth to emerge takes time. So you gotta wait until those things clear a little bit so you can have that clarity. This really confirms to me that this connection really lacked clarity and direction, which is a hallmark sign of a karmic entanglement and not divinely guided twin flame alignment. The truth is, twin flames may separate because they may go through their own times of confusion or emotional fog. However, they tend to separate with purpose and consciousness, not through confusion and fog. There is usually some type of purpose, there's some consciousness where if a twin flame were to have a separation period, it's quite frankly, they know that they are not showing up in X, Y, and Z, or they're just straight up not ready for this level of seeing themselves in a twin flame relationship, which is really gonna show you who you are. So they know they're not ready, and they're typically gonna be able to communicate those type of things. Overall, the truth about this connection is this connection was intense, seductive, transformational, disorienting, and emotionally complex. Ultimately, through this relationship, you started to get that clarification, started to become more empowered, gained your liberation back, and realized that this relationship was here to awaken your own emotional intelligence, personal power, spiritual resilience, independence, and courage. This relationship really was not meant to tether you to somebody, but for you to become somebody new. So all in all, this was definitely a karmic catalytic connection meant to activate shadow work, emotional maturation, and personal empowerment. It has really pushed you to heal emotional wounds, build your own confidence, reclaim your autonomy, break unhealthy patterns, and stand in your power. This was not a twin flame union because the connection did not lead to mutual evolution, openness, or spiritual partnership. Instead, it really functioned in your life as a soul initiator, preparing you for later a healthier, more reciprocal love. This relationship doesn't come with no purpose though. Every relationship has a purpose. So this relationship's purpose was to expose wounds and patterns, ignite transformation, strengthen your emotional muscles, activate your sovereignty, and guide you into that next chapter of your life. It wasn't meant to last, it was meant to change you. The core lessons I'm seeing on the cards here is for you to stop abandoning yourself for loyalty, honor your emotions and honor your feelings, not suppress them. Trust your intuition when something feels off, and don't stay in the fog waiting for clarity to arrive from there. Your independence is sacred, and you are powerful, you are capable, and you are magnetic. Don't let a relationship like this make you forget that about yourself. So the truth is, this is a karmic, not a twin flame. It has triggered deep shadow work and transformation within you. It has taught you about emotional honesty and empowerment, and it pushed you towards independence and strength. Now you are completing a cycle, not getting initiated into a union. So the point here was not to merge, it was for you to rise. So pile number 3, that's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this reading, make sure you give me a big like down below. I'm rooting for you, I'm wishing the best for you. Comment down below what resonated for you. I love to see your comments. When you interact with a reading, you bring the energy closer to you. So make sure you interact below. And of course, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I post new pick a card tarot readings just like this one every single week. So I hope to see you here again soon. Until next time, bye pile 3. Hi pile 4, if you chose the Opalite, this is going to be your reading. So let's go ahead and get started with the tarot cards that we got. Let's get the King of Wands, Knight of Swords, Temperance, 8 of Wands, ooh, 10 of Cups, and the Magician. Okay, so before we actually get into the tarot story, I do want to talk about the Opalite and why you may have been drawn to the Opalite in regards to the title of this video. So the Opalite is a crystal that represents clarity, communication, emotional freedom, and spiritual alignment. It supports clear expression, inner truth, and mental clarity. So there is themes here about emotional honesty, higher perspective, communication flow, and manifestation through clarity. So the Opalite here suggests that you were in a relationship or connection that required clarity and honest communication in order to align and work. So this indicates a relationship that is spiritually significant and transformational, not chaotic or wounding. So this is aligning much more with a positive soul connection and possibly twin flame potential. Pile number 4, this is the only pile that I felt like was truly potentially a twin flame connection. All of the other ones really gave karmic energy. So if you were strongly drawn to pile 4 only, you may be the only twin flame pile in the entire reading. So let's go ahead and move forward. Let's get into the tarot story now. So here's the King of Wands. The King of Wands represents leadership, vision, and confidence. So this connection has really awakened the best in you, awakens that boldest version of either you or them, inspiring more growth, more courage, and more purpose into both of your lives. So the King of Wands has a lot of leadership qualities. They are passionate and charismatic. They have creative vision for their lives, and they have a lot of confidence and drive. So maybe these are elements that have really amplified in your life as you guys have been connecting, which is a clear indicator of a twin flame relationship. So the King of Wands is also connected to Cancer and Leo energy. So potentially you have that in your chart, or they have that in their chart. And this really is energy that aligns a lot with that twin flame empowerment, a connection that activates a higher purpose rather than reinforcing wounds. And let me dive into that a little bit. So sometimes I see in the spiritual community that twin flames are chaotic, which I think that yes, they can be chaotic, but the truth is, the bottom line here in relationships of that nature is the connection is not meant to tear you down. That's karmic. The twin flame relationship is meant to over time empower you and bring you towards a higher purpose. So twin flame relationships have a high purpose, sometimes more so than just the average person, because twin flames are typically very old souls, lived on the planet a lot of times, had many different relationships with potentially other people, themselves, etc. The myth here is that you are actually so advanced that your soul split into two. So you could have a feminine and a masculine incarnated on earth, but a lot of people that don't have twin flames is because they're not even there yet. They haven't integrated enough to have those two sides of their soul separated, because it would be pure chaos. So they still have to integrate and have just the one human life, which is very reasonable. Karmic connections will reinforce wounds. And again, twin flames empower each other towards their higher purpose. So let's move on to the Knight of Swords next. The Knight of Swords is talking all about fast movement, ambition, and a bold pursuit of something. So this relationship may have initiated rapid change in your life, in your work, in your personality, or it could even had initiated impulsive action. You really have to see for your own particular relationship. But the theme with the Knight of Swords here is that energy of momentum, determination, rushing forward, and a courageous pursuit of something. I just heard, I know I can. So that confidence of entering into something really fast potentially, but knowing that you can. I know I can do it. I don't care what you say, I know I can do it. That's what I just heard. So maybe that's the energy, that empowerment that comes from your twin flame. Oh my gosh, my energy has kicked up. Usually I am so tired by the fourth reading because channeling is a lot. But I've just been kicked up because I'm also excited that there's finally a twin flame reading here, because everything else was karmic and it was very heavy. So with the Knight of Swords here, it really does show me that this connection has moved very fast, potentially too fast, but with that focused intent and not karmic chaos like my other pals. So twin flame energy often begins with a fast acceleration because the souls really recognize each other instantly because you're the same soul. So there's that instant recognition when twin flames come in union, when they see each other for the first time. It's something about that person. And I know that twin flames are very rare, but the twin flames that do know that they are, I feel like nobody tells them anything. They know that they are. So let's go ahead and move on to Temperance now. With the Temperance card here, this is talking all about balance, harmony, and divine timing. This is a major spiritual card here indicating healing, alignment, and divine orchestration. You may have been trying to avoid your twin, run from your twin. Nope, the divine will orchestrate it again and again. You will run into each other. This is showing me themes of having integration, moderation, having a spiritual purpose. There's sacred timing at play, and even emotional harmony, which is so positive. It's refreshing to have this type of reading on the table right now. Tempest really leans towards that twin flame union energy in this reading because it represents a soul alignment and not karmic testing. This connection seems to promote balance within your life, healing within your life, growth, and not destruction. That is so lovely. Let's go ahead and move on to Eight of Wands. A lot of fast energy here because both of these are very fast cards. Eight of Wands, this is talking about movement, which is very tied to also the Knight of Swords, also talking about movement, momentum, alignment, and rapid progress. This connection likely involved fast communication, fast results, unexpected changes, high momentum, or powerful synchronicity. Maybe the both of you, for example. Let's talk about things that everybody cares about. Everybody needs to make a living. I can see that both of you starting your own businesses and both taking off very quickly, or maybe you both focus on your health and see rapid changes in your health quickly with the support of each other. With the Eight of Wands, it shows me rapid movement combines with alignment, suggesting here a fated or destined connection that is spiritually accelerating the both of you. It's energy that we only see in high frequency soul relationships, including twin flames. You could also be high level soulmates if you're not resonating with the twin flame dynamic here. But what I'm seeing is just positivity and a spiral upwards. All my other piles were honestly a spiral downwards. If you were curious about the other piles, maybe not. Whatever you guys seem to put your minds to does manifest really quickly, which does show here in the Magician, but we're not there yet. Let's go ahead and talk about the Ten of Cups. The Ten of Cups really shows me that this relationship brings you emotional fulfillment. It is the classic card for divine love and harmony. The Ten of Cups is connected to Mars and Pisces energy, and it is quite literally talking about blissful relationships. That is amazing. It is perfect harmony and alignment when you guys are together. This is a powerful relationship card signifying that you have spiritual happiness, emotional fulfillment, and a true soul level compatibility with this person. Although if you clicked on this relationship video, maybe you're going through a rough patch. However, the truth of this connection is that you are more on that high level frequency, soulmate, twin flame energy than a karmic. The Ten of Cups card is a really strong indicator here of a twin flame or high level soulmate union energy because it does represent long-term fulfillment, harmony, and a shared destiny, and it doesn't show karmic struggle. Again, like my other three piles. With that being said, we move beautifully to our last card, the Magician. So the Magician is talking all about manifestation, power, creation, and alignment. That's why I was saying whatever you guys manifest, it's fast because we have the Knight of Swords, Eight of Wands, and the Magician. Whatever you think about, if you guys both think about it at the same time and have the same focus, I feel like you guys are able to manifest it so quick, and it is overwhelming almost. With this Magician, this really shows me and suggests to me that this connection is a co-creative and intentional connection. This is really talking about themes of conscious manifestation, again with that double focus, inspired action, spiritual power, and even alignment of your mind and your will, which is very important in anything that you do. When you have sheer willpower in combination of purpose and focus, you are able to achieve anything that you want. Even miracles can happen with all that alignment. This card is really suggesting a connection where both individuals are actively manifesting a future together and not just reacting to karma. This is 100% twin flame coded energy here. Intentional, aligned, and very powerful. So that's all I have for the tarot story portion of the video. I'm going to move on to the oracle cards now. All right, the archetype we got is Mystic, and it says light attributes, revels in intimate union with the divine. Shadow attribute says delusional rapport with the divine. Twin flame relationships are very mystical, spiritual. So one of you is definitely a mystic, probably the feminine. The feminine typically is the spiritual twin, while the masculine is more so the material, physical twin. However, as you guys begin to merge, it will be more balanced in an 80-20 kind of situation, like the yin-yang symbol. With this Mystic coming up, it shows me that there is spiritual devotion here. to each other, to the divine. There's inner truth here and a higher purpose. This archetype really emphasizes having spiritual awakenings, maybe multiple throughout your lives, dedication to that inner growth and living in alignment with your truth. The shadow side of this, though, is having a spiritual ego or even rigidity or superiority in terms of spirituality. And also it could talk about neglecting emotional needs because you're so deep into spirituality. Make sure you're not neglecting your emotional needs or even your physical needs. With this Mystic card coming up, it's really indicating a soul path, soul level connection, and not just a casual relationship or a karmic tie, not a karmic contract at all. Twin flame unions often activate spiritual purposes and inner transformation. All right, let's go ahead and move on. We're getting the beluga communication. Wasn't I just literally talking about the yin yang sign? And this is not the exact yin yang sign, but it's the sun and the moon. The sun is representative of the male. The moon is representative of the female, light, dark, male, female. With this card coming up in communication, I sense that you guys have developed your communication over time, having better and better communication, but also this is showing me that there's an emphasis on honesty, clarity, and emotional articulation in your relationship. There's themes here of having meaningful conversations and meaningful dialogue, having that emotional openness, blunt honesty, and even healthy expression. The blunt honesty is for your growth. Twins can be blunt with each other because they want each other to grow. They see each other differently. They don't want you to shrink, they want you to grow. The shadow side of the beluga could be miscommunication, holding back truth. Make sure if you see any miscommunications or holding back truth that you deal with these things through honesty, clarity, and emotional articulation. With this card coming up, it's telling me twin flame connections often revolve around deep communication and truth telling. Truth telling can be very uncomfortable at times. Truth telling can really call people out at times, but twin flame relationships can handle it. Whereas karmic connections involve avoidance and distortion. With this card coming up, it's really a card that supports that healthy communicative partnership. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. We're getting butterfly, change, and freedom. Number 14, 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 is also a number of change, conflict, and major transformation. That is really indicative of this relationship here. This relationship really represents transformation, evolution, and a soul liberation. There is a lot of growth in this relationship. There is a lot of cycles of renewal, spiritual metamorphosis, and even emotional freedom from this relationship. This card really shows me that the connection is transformational in a liberating way, not in a destructive or traumatic way like my other pals. So more so aligns with twin flame ascension than karmic destruction. Again, karmics will be destructive towards your life. Heavy lessons for you to change and grow on your own, but twin flames are more so connected to transformation so you guys can both ascend. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. We're getting last quarter moon in Gemini, clear your mind. This relationship is probably very, very intense at times because it requires a lot of communication, a lot of change. With this card coming up, it really emphasizes that mental clarity aspect of the relationship, communication again, and conscious manifestation, which we see in the Magician, hinting at encouraging you to ease any anxiety you might have, clear your mind, meditate, have honest expression of your feelings, having a positive mindset, and even balanced thinking. For me, I really do think that meditation can transform you in and of itself. I think it's one of my most powerful tools in my tool shed, so I always suggest it. This really is an indicator that any overthinking that you might be facing may be sabotaging your spiritual relationship and your spiritually aligned connection. Not that the connection is wrong or karmic, but any overthinking may start to sabotage you. Twin flames often need time alone and mental clarity to manifest their union. So don't be afraid to go away for a little bit, meditate, and heal any anxieties that might be coming up, any overthinking that might be happening. All right, let's go ahead and move on. We're getting toadstools, growth. Number 44, 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 is a very karmic number. And this is really just showing me as well that more growth. I've been talking about growth the whole reading, but this is another indicator of more growth. So this card really predicts that you guys will have rapid growth on whatever you think about. Again, with this, it's showing me breakthroughs, expansion, both personally and relationally. You will be individually growing at a rapid rate, but also together as a union. You might see themes coming into your life of sudden progress, spiritual and emotional evolution coming, alignment with your purpose, and building really healthy, strong foundations that support your expansion. So this card here signifies that there is a connection here leading to rapid spiritual and emotional growth, characteristic of a twin flame ascension, not karmic stagnation like my other three pals. The overall truth about this connection on the cards here is this connection is fast moving, purpose driven, spiritually aligned, emotionally fulfilling, activating, and transformative. It has awakened passion within you, purpose, creativity, emotional openness, and spiritual growth. Rather than pulling you into chaos, it pulled you into alignment. And that is so refreshing, really a boost of energy for me. Thank you so much for this reading to come into light, and I hope it found you well. Pile 4, congratulations. This connection leans very, very strongly towards twin flames, twin flame, or a high level soulmate energy, and not karmic. There is emotional fulfillment here in the 10 of Cups, spiritual alignment here with the Temperance and the Mystic, and there's also a fast alignment and momentum with the Knight of Swords and the 8 of Wands, and there's a co-creative manifestation happening here with the Magician, and also leadership and purpose activation in the King of Wands. This relationship isn't just a relationship that exists to have painful lessons. It's really here because, of course, twin flames can also go through painful lessons, but it is actually a relationship that exists to elevate both of the souls in the relationship. There is major purpose in this connection, and I feel the purpose of this connection is to activate your purpose and your passion, support each other's spiritual evolution, inspire transformation and freedom within each of your lives, building a shared future together, and manifesting love consciously. This is really union energy here and not some type of karmic cycle or relationship. I really see the core lessons for this particular relationship is communicating clearly and honestly, releasing any mental clutter, which is shown here in the Clear Your Mind, trusting transformation, allowing that rapid growth, and leading your lives with purpose. I love that this is not karmic energy and that it is spiritually aligned and positive. It's really supporting both for your growth, harmony, and manifestation. It supports your emotional fulfillment, not instability, and it moves fast because it's meant to. You guys are meant to have a shared purpose, and it carries that twin flame or high-level soulmate union potential. I really sense that this connection is meant to elevate you and bring love into your life. Although you might be going through a rough patch, which is why you clicked on this video, it wasn't meant to break you, it was meant to transform you. Pile number 4, what a lovely reading. I enjoyed it so much. If you like this video, make sure you give me a big thumbs up, and of course comment down pile 4 to claim this reading, or just tell me down below what you resonated with. I'd love to see your comments. When you interact with the reading, you pull the energy closer to you, so make sure you interact below. And of course, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I post new pick a card tarot readings just like this one every single week. I hope to see you here again soon. Until next time, bye, pile 4.